Accident in the Soviet Union, and the Soviets have admitted that it happened. The Soviet version is this. One of the atomic reactors at the Chernobyl atomic power plant near the city of Kiev was damaged. And there is speculation in Moscow that people were injured and may have died. In the form of mild nuclear radiation had already reached beyond the Soviet borders.
The consequences of the accident are being taken care of.
Nuclear energy was hailed as the future of human progress, a near-limitless power source that could free the world from fossil fuels. Capable of lighting entire cities with minimal environmental impact, nuclear plants were rising rapidly across the globe with the support of governments and scientists alike. The promise of harnessing the atom seemed poised to usher in a new era of prosperity. The risks were known, but often downplayed, overshadowed by the glowing optimism of a world racing toward modernity. At 1:23 a.m., April 26, 1986, Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant exploded. What followed was the most catastrophic nuclear disaster in human history. But it wasn't just an accident. It was a tragedy born of secrecy, denial, and a fatal chain of decisions. This is the story of the Chernobyl disaster, how it happened, the lives it changed, and the haunting legacy it left behind. Chernobyl was a symbol of Soviet progress. The nuclear power plant, located near the town of Pripyat in northern Ukraine, provided electricity to millions. It was modern and powerful, but behind the facade, it was deeply flawed. Reactor 4 was an RBMK model, powerful but inherently unstable, especially at low power. The Soviet Union knew this, but documentation and warnings were buried under red tape and secrecy. April 25, 1986. The night shift prepared for a routine safety test to simulate a power outage and test if the turbines could keep cooling the reactor as they slowed down. But the test had already been delayed earlier in the day. By the time it resumed, it was being carried out by an unprepared night crew under immense pressure. At 1:23 a.m., as operators tried to shut down the reactor, an unexpected power surge occurred. In desperation, they hit the AZ5 button, meant to shut down the reactor completely. But due to the reactor's flawed design, the insertion of control rods triggered a massive spike in energy. The reactor exploded, not once, but twice. The steel and concrete roof was torn apart. Graphite from the reactor core ignited, launching radioactive particles into the sky. Firefighters rushed in, unaware they were stepping into a death zone. They fought flames glowing with eerie blue light, caused by intense radiation. In the hours and days that followed, Soviet officials tried to downplay the disaster. Pripyat, a city of nearly 50,000, wasn't evacuated until 36 hours later. Residents watched the strange smoke and glowing night sky, unaware they were being poisoned. When evacuation came, it was hurried. Residents were told they would be back in 3 days. The truth was they would never return. The Soviet Union didn't officially acknowledge the explosion until radiation alarms went off in Sweden. Even then, the Kremlin tried to suppress details. Journalists were silenced and footage was controlled. Thousands of workers, dubbed liquidators, were sent to contain the disaster, many with minimal training. They bulldozed radioactive soil, buried vehicles and built a massive concrete sarcophagus around Reactor 4. Many would suffer lifelong health effects, and some wouldn't survive a year. The radioactive cloud spread across Europe, but Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia bore the worst of it. Children developed thyroid cancer. Entire towns were abandoned. The Red Forest, just outside the plant, became one of the most radioactive places on Earth. Estimates of the long-term death toll vary. Official Soviet numbers were low. Western studies suggest thousands, possibly tens of thousands, died from radiation-linked illnesses. But beyond the numbers was the psychological toll. Chernobyl became a symbol, not just of nuclear danger, but of government failure. It exposed the weaknesses within the Soviet system and arguably accelerated the USSR's collapse. Today, Chernobyl is a ghost town, while nature has reclaimed much of Pripyat. Tourists visit with Geiger counters in hand, but the scars remain. The site is still dangerous. A new containment structure, completed in 2016, covers the original sarcophagus, but it's only temporary. More than 30 years later, we still feel the ripples. Chernobyl changed the global perception of nuclear power. It sparked protests, policy shifts, and a new culture of transparency around nuclear safety. Thank you for watching. If you found this story interesting, please like and subscribe.